Hi, this is Giselle Monbiot, here to give my regular slot on tools and techniques on how to reduce stress and anxiety and how to improve your emotional well-being. Now, there are lots of things that we can do to help ourselves, but when we have those emotions which are inside us and we don't know quite what to do with them, we might not even at the beginning even recognise that we've got some emotion that's sort of just sitting in us. But when we have it, we don't know quite what to do with it. So it might be that we're reaching out for more chocolate. It might be that we are becoming more irritable with the people around us. Maybe you're grabbing for the wine a bit more or to your phone a little bit more. You know that feeling when there's just this emotion just sitting in you, it's bubbling away. You might notice that the way you're responding to the world isn't quite how you would like to be responding. And there's a really lovely exercise that you can do that gives you the time and the space to be able to focus on that emotion, and then to allow yourself to acknowledge it and also be able to release it or reduce it. There are lots of emotions that we can feel fearful of. There are emotions that we can feel that we feel resistant to. There are emotions that we feel that we try and ignore, and we try and push them away. The way I see emotions is they are messages. They are trying to tell us something. They are trying to get us to acknowledge something or to become aware of. I know that when my children want something from me, they don't just say, mummy, and if I don't hear them, they go away and walk off. They just carry on repeatedly saying, mummy, 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 getting louder and louder until I turn around and go, yes, oh, sorry, what is it that you want? So I kind of see emotions that are like that. The more we ignore them, the louder they become, the bigger they become, until we start to notice them. And I think often what happens is in life we have a tendency to ignore. And it's not until the emotion has got so big and so obvious and so glaring do we take any notice of it. And then, then it becomes quite a big thing to have to deal with. So instead of being fearful of that emotion and trying to ignore it, this particular exercise has the opposite. It's time for you to acknowledge the emotion and to move and to sit with it. So it's a very traditional mindfulness exercise, which is called R.A.I.N, and it's an acronym. So what I will do is I'll talk you through the different parts to this, and then you can give it a go. This is something that I use regularly, and it's quite interesting. I use it a lot when I can't sleep. So because normally when I can't sleep, it's because I'm worried or I'm feeling stressed about something. And when I focus in on that feeling of being stressed and I just go through this process, then the stress releases, and then I get to sleep. So it's a really nifty little thing. At the beginning, it might seem a bit clunky, but it's like with anything, it can be, things are often difficult when you first start something. But, the more you take yourself through the process of it, the more you experiment with it, the more you give yourself that opportunity to practice this, the easier it becomes, because you understand the process, you're not questioning it, and you start to realise actually how important this is to your emotional well-being. If you're able to face these emotions, it makes you realise that actually they're there for a reason, and they deserve to be heard, and they deserve to be faced. And it comes back to that whole idea of kindness. What is it that you might like the happiness within you, but you might not like the sadness? Well, we're all made up of many, many different parts, and to decide you like one part of you but not another part, that's going to add to that sadness. It's going to add to those feelings of stress and anxiety. So it's about enabling yourself to give each emotion the time that it deserves. So the R of R.A.I.N is just recognising there's an emotion. So we'll work with feelings of anxiety. So say, for example, I recognise I've got an emotion in me because maybe I'm becoming more irritable with the people around me. that's kind of a sign. Oh yeah, I know what's going on. I recognise there's an emotion going on. So you recognise it and you name it. So it's anxiety, it's stress, it's anger, it's frustration, it's irritability, it's boredom. I'm frustrated. All of those, just naming it. You don't have to be absolutely precise, but it has to resonate with you, and it has to sort of resonate with the feeling that you're having. Then the A is accepting it. Accepting that's happening. Accepting that the fact that you feel stressed, that you feel angry, and allowing yourself to acknowledge that you are going to just give yourself that time to be able to sit with it and investigate what's happening. So the acceptance and just thinking to yourself, do you know what? It's okay that I feel that. It's okay. We're often telling ourselves, well, I shouldn't be feeling like that. I shouldn't be reacting like that. I should be doing better. I know better than this. So this is about getting rid of judgment. It's getting rid of self-criticism. It's about just being and treating yourself like you would treat your best friend. So you're just saying it's okay to feel this. This is how I'm feeling right now. And I'm going to give myself this time to be with that emotion. And then the I is the investigation. So the I is just really becoming conscious about how they'll see. Say, for example, if I feel anxious, I'll get sort of a tightness in my chest. If I start feeling really stressed, I find it quite hard to breathe. It almost feels like there's an elephant sitting on my chest. Start to notice the thought processes you're having. Is there a negative loop going on around? Maybe your brain is feeling a little bit sort of light and your thoughts are all over the place. Noticing how your body's feeling. Maybe there's tightness. Noticing the sensations. Becoming conscious of how you're responding to the environment around you. And please, 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 just remembering that this is without judgment, this is without the criticism, and not with the story. Sort of, oh, well, I feel anxious because I'm really worried about this and that, and then that happens, and this happens, and then this could happen. Move away from that. This isn't about stories, because when you start getting into the story, it's going to build that emotion again. It's just about being with the emotion. So you're investigating it and just being with it. And whilst you're investigating it, I know this probably sounds a little bit wacky, but sending it love. Send that love. Send it unconditional love. Sending it that acceptance. Just being with it, not trying to change it, not trying to control it, just acknowledging it. A lot of anxiety is the fear of it, or the hatred of the fact that we feel like that. So just keep on sending it that love. Keep sending it that acceptance. And what you'll find is it starts to change. Initially, it might get bigger, it might expand out, and that's okay. It's just because this is probably the first time that you have fully sat with it and acknowledged it. So allowing it to grow, and then after a while, what happens is it can sort of fire and fizzle out, and then you're kind of left with this sense of peace. And then the last bit is the non-identification. And instead of saying, I am angry, I am sad, I am anxious, I have sadness, I have anxiety. So instead of it being your identity, I am Giselle. That's my identity. It'd be very hard for people to start calling me Sarah. It just wouldn't, I wouldn't be able to relate to it. But to say I am anxious, that means my whole being is anxious. But actually, if you say I have anxiety, anxiety becomes a part. And when something becomes a part, it becomes so much more tangible. It becomes easier to deal with. So try this out, making sure you're giving yourself the time and space to do it. When you first do it. So if your emotions are on the scale of 1 to 10, and 10 being really, really strong, start with a 2 or a 3. That always thinking about being kind to yourself. And that 2 or a 3, because just know that the feeling might expand a bit before it disperses, and get used to the process. become more comfortable with the process, see how it works, and then when you've done that, then you can get more confident to be able to focus on the things which are stronger. And as I say, I do this before I go to bed sometimes, and it really helps us clear that sense of stress out of the body. So I hope that works. Really, I really recommend you try this, and good luck with it. Keep safe.